Oh.
Welcome to the WarpZone.
Woo! We're here. So yeah, it's our first show, guys. So hi guys. I'm EJ.
I'm Phil.
I'm Sean.
Yeah, and WarpZone is basically kind of like the little invention that gets us talking about, things that maybe you've seen, maybe you've played. And so on top of everybody's list right now that you may have seen, I'll just get it out there. It's Batman. I know that I saw it this weekend, and by far, I don't know if any of you have seen Phil on Film. He gave it a 3 out of 4 stars. I'm right with you, Phil.
All right. And what are you giving it, Sean?
I never saw it.
Oh, you're not seeing it.
I'm not going to see it.
He's holding out. And I think it's a little presumptuous that it calls itself the Batman. It's like the one and only. But that's kind of the way it goes. It's like it dictates the terms. It goes 3 hours. It's kind of intense. Like there's no humor in this thing. It just punishes you over and over again. It makes you feel how rough it is to be Batman. It's kind of got a Marvel sensibility to it because Marvel movies are all about sadness and despair of being a hero. That's what this is. This is rough. It's a rough life as Batman. It's not Edward Cullen anymore. It was like things are just as tough as when he was a vampire. But I do respect Robert Pattinson's performance. I was worried he might be too frail, too weak, too much of a tech nerd to be a Batman. But I was impressed. What did you think, EJ?
Yeah, like we just saw like the trailer right there of the car scene, or the car chase. Oh, dude, no lie. A tear was shed. Actually, multiple tears were shed of how awesome that scene was. I just made one of the tears that was shed was probably because of the Maserati got destroyed that Penguin was driving. But it took me a little while to like break away from Robert Pattinson as Edward Cullen because I don't know. I still see him, even though he's done like so many other movies, still see him as Edward Cullen.
He's a very vampire-like Bruce Wayne for sure. But speaking of transformations, what about Colin Farrell becoming Penguin? That to me was impressive.
I don't think it was until like after when I saw that, because I wasn't really familiar with who the cast was going to be, except for obviously Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. Like when I saw the prosthetics and everything, I was like, no way, you could not tell whatsoever.
Yeah, speaking of Zoe Kravitz, I thought Catwoman was kind of shoehorned into this one. I think you could have done without her. I think it would have made the movie a lot shorter. I'm not sure what she added. I think they wanted to show that Batman, Bruce Wayne, had some kind of heart and soul that he could connect with another human being. But I don't know. To me, it was a lot of a rehash of Batman Returns, the whole Catwoman part. Like they definitely quoted a scene from there too. That's even in the trailer. So I'm not sure how much she really belonged in this movie. And, not to spoil anything, but the way it ends, maybe I don't know. You don't expect to see a whole lot of her in the future, like in this universe anyway.
And I get that, and I don't know, Phil. I gotta disagree with you. I liked her. I felt that she helped move the story along. I don't think I was actually talking to one of our other like coworkers, and I don't think I liked the fact. Well, spoiler right here. I don't think we liked the fact that. What's the bad guy's name?
Riddler.
No, not that guy. What is his name? Falcone?
Oh, Falcone, yeah.
Yeah, Falcone. Mm. I don't like the fact that Sean, that's her dad.
There's too much interconnectedness. There's too much happening.
And that makes no sense because is that even in any of the comics? This is just one of those things where they have to connect all the dots.
Yeah.
Which is one of my like biggest pet peeves with these kind of movies. Just why?
Yeah, and they also have Penguin work for Falcone too, which is another thing that just doesn't make sense for me personally. Penguin to me has to be his own entity that's not really anyone's employee. I mean, I guess maybe he becomes that in the future, or you could see that happening in this take on the universe. The thing about Batman, the way DC handles it, is there is no connectedness from one movie to another. I'm not saying that's a fault, but like every single take on Batman, whether it's Joker, whether it's the Christopher Nolan trilogy, whether it's the dating back to the old, the original Batman Returns, and then getting into the embarrassing ones with Val Kilmer and George Clooney. None of them have anything to do with any of the others. Now we see in the future that they're bringing back Michael Keaton and maybe some other Batmans for some kind of Batverse event that would, I guess, come in Flash, right? That's what we're hearing right now.
Yeah.
Flashpoint. It sounds like they just saw Spider-Man and were like, "Oh, let's do Spider-Man." Yeah, typical DC move.
Not a lot of invention there. That's kind of following the lead. But I do like the Flash. I like the actor there, so I'm glad to see some more of that guy, even if we're not going to carry anything more of what we've seen in Justice League and the movies that built up toward that little mini universe expanded there or continued.
Yeah, I will say though, in this movie, like, we didn't see much of Bruce Wayne, and I'm kind of glad about that because I didn't like Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne at all. Like,
I was expecting to like him, and I thought we'd see some of him as Bruce Wayne, but whenever he didn't really convince me as Bruce Wayne, which I thought was going to be the opposite. I thought he was going to be a good Bruce Wayne and a bad Batman. Instead, he's a really good, tough Batman, but as Bruce Wayne, he's kind of this annoying teenager character who doesn't seem like a billionaire, for one thing.
Yeah.
He seems maybe like a Jeff Zuckerberg billionaire, but if he hadn't gone through puberty yet.
Yeah, and like the thing is too is like whenever I was like watching this, this is where I kind of got the like, wait, as Batman, I was like, yes, you're Batman, you're nailing it, I love this. But as Bruce Wayne, I was like, okay, you're like an emo,
so emo.
Edward Cullen.
And then
even more so.
Let's talk about Riddler too before we move on from Batman. To me, this is Red Hood more than Riddler, and maybe that's the design. They wanted something very mysterious. They didn't want like a jokey green spandex type character that we've seen Riddler portrayed at many times. To me, like, I have no problem with the villain, but to me, why did you make him a Riddler? Like, to me, the riddles were extraneous. They weren't. They didn't really fit. I don't understand why he needed to be Riddler. Like, especially since throughout time, Batman's always solved every one of the Riddler's riddles instantly, right? If not him, then it would always be Robin that's solved it. Whenever Robin's, but otherwise, why have a riddle if you give the answer instantly? Just to show how smart Batman is, I guess.
Right, and like, even I enjoyed the riddles, but at the same time, I was like, because some of them he got like instantly, and I was just like, dude, hold your horses. Like, it took me a little while to figure this out.
Some more stretches too. It's like, okay, there's one possible answer, but you're already running off to the next crime scene based on your hunch.
Right, and
you're right.
I mean, I did like them. I'm not a big like comic book fan or anything that like knows exactly like what's happening. So like me, I know of the Riddler, obviously in the name, it's like he tells riddles, you figure it out. And I did like just the overall dark tone of everything. Like the thumb drive, oh, that was perfect.
All right, who is your Batman, EJ and Sean? I want to hear who your personal Batman actor is. Like, who's your guy you're going with? Of
all the ones that we already have, or are we throwing out there any actor?
You got something else, and no need to keep it to yourself, man. Just let us hear about him.
You know, the more I think about it, the more I think Henry Cavill would be a better Batman than a Superman. I don't know why. I just see him in that comic book role more so as Batman. And maybe that's just because in Mission Impossible Fallout, he plays a bad guy, and I think Batman and Bruce Wayne should kind of have that bad guy tone. Robert Pattinson looks like he's good for the role. I guess if he's not a good Bruce Wayne, that's probably problematic. But at the same time, I'm here for Batman. I don't care about Bruce Wayne. Bruce Wayne was never the interesting part of Batman. And he was always kind of emo to begin with, so I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
He never gets over his parents. Like, you're 35 years old. Get over it.
Yeah. I'll say that my Batman is Christian Bale because I feel like Christian Bale does Batman and Bruce Wayne very well. Like, we know that Robert Pattinson's getting like a trilogy, so I mean, we're probably going to see more Bruce Wayne, especially now that we know of like, I don't think it's really much of a spoiler that there's corruption in Gotham. So, like, he's probably going to take care of that. And that's where we see Bruce Wayne step up to the plate. And I would like to see it, but I think Christian Bale definitely balanced the I'm the billionaire philanthropist or whatever kind of Wayne Enterprise guy versus I'm just a vigilante. So he's my Batman.
Yeah, and Christian Bale is great, but really that's probably the worst acting he's ever done throughout his life as Batman, because his voice is just really distracting. He does the Batman voice to me like a 5-year-old would do a Batman voice. My Batman, though, might be a little controversial. It's Ben Affleck. A lot of people mocked him from the beginning. They were glad when he left. They chased him off, with torches. To me, like, maybe it's just because he was such a great Bruce Wayne. Maybe it's because I tend to have a soft spot for some of the DC movies that kind of get bashed by everyone. But to me, I like Ben Affleck because he is a rich guy. He might even be Batman in real life. Like, he could actually do it physically. He's just pompous. Like, he's got the pomposity that you need to be Bruce Wayne. And let's take Batman v Superman, an awful movie. I even acknowledge it's really terrible. But to have a Batman who's willing to fight Superman straight up in a fist fight, you got to be like Ben Affleck. You got to be that kind of dumb, oblivious, like not self-aware. So to me, I'm going to go Batfleck. I think he's coming back in the Flash for at least for a little bit. I'll be glad to see him again. And you know what? I'm going to throw an honorable mention to Kevin Conroy as the animated Batman in so many forms. Batman animated series, many of those great, maybe some of the best Batman stories are those animated movies, right? Like, I bet Sean even has Batman animated I don't even know about.
Oh, there's Batman Ninja, which is it's a terrible movie, but it's hilarious. It just throws Batman into the 16th century Japan, into feudal Japan, with giant robots, with animation, everything. It's really bad, but it's really funny. It's well worth watching. And now that I think about it, if we're going to talk about Batman actors who actually played Batman, I'm going to give it to Adam West. I'm going to do it.
All right.
Original Batman TV series, one of the corniest, stupidest shows you'll ever watch in your life, but it's fantastic.
He definitely emphasized the crazy side of Batman, the straight up unhinged in his own world. Like, there's something special about that era. That's why I think they brought it back as a comic book setting, or a miniseries, whatever they did, Batman 60, whatever. But there's something that's just insane about Batman and especially his rogues gallery, and especially his relationship with Robin. And Adam West, he was his own thing for sure. And I think Michael Keaton kind of carried a little bit of that over.
Oh, for sure.
But then it just kind of lost. Maybe the people who took it too far were Clooney and Kilmer, for sure. Just kind of ruining the mythos. Although I did hear someone in the newsroom say that Batman Forever is the best Batman movie, which kind of scared me.
That is a scary take, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're actually getting some comments here. So Tony with the choppa, I like the handle there. Robert Pattinson crushed it. Great film. That's what he said. So thank you so much for weighing in. Lynn's Love 08. Who was your favorite Batman? Kind of like a recap here. Mine was Christian Bale. Phil?
Ben Affleck.
Sean?
Adam West. All
right. And then Tony with the chop up. Christian Bale. I'm with you, dude. Right there.
Yeah, those are the best Batman movies. To me, the Batman is nowhere close to as good, at least to the first two. Batman Begins is great. Dark Knight is great. Not a big fan at all of Dark Knight Rises. I think that was Christopher Nolan's worst film by far. Just such a disappointing end to could have been a great trilogy. Awful character, awful take on Bane, in my opinion. There, you just can't understand him talk the whole time. Disappointing ending, and to me, that's one of the reasons there wasn't a Batman movie for 10 years after that one.
Yeah, I think somebody one of our producers brought that up. We haven't seen anything for 10 years. I was no, has it really been that long? So
well, I mean, we did have Batman v Superman. People like to forget that one, understandably. Yeah. So we've had a ton of animated movies. There really is a Batman animated movie almost 3 times a year, I think. It feels that way.
For sure.
Good question from Winslow 8. Favorite villain? Ooh. I'm going to say that because of like recent films, I know Heath Ledger was a great Joker. I'm not trying to take away, but Joaquin Phoenix blew me away with his Joker movie. So I'm going to be very specific and say that Joker was my favorite villain.
And this is a good time to put Sean on the spot because he hates that movie, and he's
I
the only
hate
one
it.
I've talked to that hates
Sean,
that
I
movie.
know.
Absolutely terrible. Absolutely. You know, it's well shot, and the acting is great in it. It has all the makings of a good movie, but it's just baby's first Taxi Driver. If you've seen Taxi Driver, you've seen Joker. It's not. It doesn't have a message, or it has a message, but it's not a very like well thought out one. I thought it was a terrible movie, honestly, and that's part of my reason for not going to see the Batman is because I thought if you're going to stretch the Joker into 3 hours, if that sort of tone, I'm not gonna sit through a movie that.
I love the Joker. I think it's one of the best comic book movies ever made, ranking right up there with Logan. And I've been to the Joker steps, brave to that area. However, I'm gonna give Sean a little bone here and say it doesn't do anything toward making this seem like he could be a supervillain in any way, other than the fact that he's kind of unhinged. Like, what gives him the genius ability? We don't see any of that in there. What gives him his connections? I mean, you see he develops a cult quickly, but how does he become a true criminal mastermind? I think the Joker take on Joker is nothing to do like any other Joker we've ever seen. He's just kind of like this lone figure who really isn't going to ever be an adversary for Batman. Like, they did have that cute little moment with Batman as a little boy through the fence that's supposed to foreshadow something, but we're never going to see a true follow-up on that. Although maybe technically, is there a sequel in development? I guess I've heard that.
I think there is.
Okay.
I think another big problem with the movie, and it's something that you mentioned with the Batman, was the whole having the Joker connected to the Waynes. Like, why? It's again another one of those things where scriptwriters, to me, are just being really lazy and connecting things together just to have that cohesion. But it doesn't.
You see plenty more of that in the Batman. Let me tell you, Sean.
Yeah,
plenty more.
because there was in the Batman themselves. Also, Tony with the chop over there saying that's a wild take, Sean. I'm right there with you. Really quick though, bunch of marks. Hey, what's up, man? How's it going? I do want to go back to Batman of making those connections because there's a couple of them that, again, I'm not a comic book reader, don't know anything about that. I'm just here for the movie and trying to have a good time within 3 hours. But I there was like some things that were like woven in there, and I was like, wait a minute, like I don't know this, so I'm asking like, you know, my husband and then like his other friends too. I'm like, hey guys, like I don't know what this means. Like, what? Since when was this a thing? And so they were just like, yeah, it's not. And we're like, oh, okay.
There's a way to do that super interconnectivity and do it well. Like, I'll go back to the original Batman, 1989. Like, you've got the Joker, who is the guy at the time who killed his parents, which he hadn't been before. And then so Batman throws him into acid, turns him into Joker. After Joker had already turned him into Batman by killing his parents. I thought that was kind of cool. Maybe that's just my 11-year-old mind work there, but like that, I'm good with. Not so much. Yeah, you don't have to have everybody know each other forever, and you certainly do in the back.
Yeah, like I just put in the question, guys, you know, weigh in, tell us your favorite villain. I know that we've been talking about like Joker. I brought up Joker, so you guys, what do you think, Sean? What do you think?
See, my favorite villain is the Joker, which is why the Joker movie just doesn't work for me because of everything just attached to it. I just like to think that he's just a crazy guy. I don't need like the whole backstory of how he became crazy. I just like him as just a wild card. And I think the comic books do that well. I think he's just better in most of the comics. Shout out to Batman White Knight, which is one of the best Joker stories you're ever going to read. I think he's good in like the video games. I think he was absolutely fantastic in the Nolan trilogy. Just I don't like the new take on him whatsoever. Not fighting against like Joaquin Phoenix was amazing in that movie, but it's just didn't do it for me.
I'm gonna go Aaron Eckhart's Two-Face in I guess Dark Knight Rises, right? Like to me, that's such a great arc of that character. This did so much better job than Tommy Lee Jones, not necessarily acting, but like with the story of Tommy Lee Jones being Two-Face in the earlier Batman movie. To me, it's like he's a great tragic figure in Batman lore, how he's like this crusader for crime, kind of like Batman, but he's just pushed to use his intelligence and everything that makes him who he is into evil in the long run. I like that. I can relate to that arc better than I can any Joker, even though Joker is a great villain too.
Yeah, we have Lynn's Level 8 says Danny DeVito as Penguin.
I think Colin Farrell was trying to be like Danny DeVito a little bit, just a little bit. I think there was a hint of that.
Yeah, it's I like especially that whole little part in the Batman movie where they kind of throw back to like his name of how he's kind of handcuffed and tied, and so he does that little waddle. So love that part. But Tony with the choppa here says fave Batman villain as a whole is Two-Face, and the movies it's Heath Ledger's Joker. So kind of a combo there. So I will say Heath Ledger did really well as the Joker. But yeah, sorry, Sean. I'm gonna have to say no. But Colin is definitely more fun to look at. Lynn's Love 08 says that. I will say yes, but in this movie he wasn't that attractive. In the Batman, at least not to me. Prosthetics not my thing, I guess.
Phil, do you want to weigh in on that one?
He's definitely the hottest penguin there's ever been.
Yes.
So let's right with that.
Yeah, I'll say that for sure. So made Lynn's Level 8 laugh there. So any final thoughts? We got 2 more little topics that we want to cover before, but anything else on Batman related?
Sean, I want you to see it just so we can disagree about it, something about that movie. So
yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure we will.
Yeah, because see, I'm loving the Joker. I will say that between the Joker and the Batman, actually both of them, it's kind of hard to weigh which one's better. I really don't know. Gonna say that like it's pretty hard to say which one was my fave. I still want to go the Joker, but Batman's pretty high up there. But switching gears now to not necessarily movies but video games, because I know that's something that's eating a lot of my time except for the 3-hour movie. I just logged 39 hours on Horizon Forbidden West. So, guys.
So, EJ, what's your elevator pitch? Because you make it sound like a really annoying game. You make it sound not like what would you tell Sean and I to get us to want to play it? Because I don't want to play it right now.
I know that this trailer that we're watching is Elden Ring, so I know that for my lack of preparedness, I'm going to say that that's my fault. I didn't know.
Maybe that is fate that Elden Ring came on, because that's really like it's a shadow over all the gaming world. Like everything vanishes. I didn't even want to play Elden Ring. I was terrified of that, as I am all of From Software Souls-like games. But just hearing Sean talk about it, Brooke, producer, talk about that, I just eventually caved in and got this game. And I was right. It's not for me. I can't handle it. I'm really proud of myself, though. After I encountered a beast man of Firm Azula, if that's pronounced right. He's a boss that's probably not even very tough, but I felt like I could beat him because I would get half of his energy off. I kept on going at it, and after like a long time, embarrassing long, I was able to beat this guy. I'm probably going to retire from that game now, but I'm just proud of myself. But maybe that's why people like it. Is that, Sean? Is just the accomplishment of just doing the impossible?
There is a lot of accomplishment. I beat the first tree sentinel, which is right outside of the opening area yesterday, which he's not even that hard either. But it's just one of those things where you've died and died and died, and you finally beat this boss, which for some people, especially for me, I get so frustrated so easily by this sort of stuff. But there's something about this game, and I think it's mostly more so the sense of discovery than any sort of like action or any of that. It's just a beautiful game to play and look at, and there's something new around every corner, which it just keeps me coming back, even though I keep getting destroyed and keep wanting to break a controller in half.
Yeah, like Tony with the choppa says, Elden Ring is incredible. I will say, from hearing everybody talking about it, that's my next game to play. I'm stuck on Forbidden West. Like, Phil, back to your point, like I hate this game so much, and I really, really, really hate myself for like wanting to play on the like hardest difficulty. I have like no HUD, nothing. If you know the game, like basically you can have everything that you had in Zero Dawn, But at the same time, like if you want to challenge yourself and just start hating life and hating like playing the game for so long, definitely that's what you do is you up all the difficulties possible. The monsters are more aggressive. I think it took me, if you remember like the Stormbird from like the first game, it took me 3.5 hours to take down one. No, it was I was there like throwing my controller. I was like, no, this is actually a brand new controller. I don't want to do that. But
So if this Elden Ring thing, it's about self-punishment, just like
Yeah.
Elden Ring is. So you have to really be into that, which means probably you're going to like Elden Ring too.
yeah,
I'm so afraid of playing more Elden Ring, but I'm more drawn to that. I'm more likely to play more of that than I am, say, Breath of the Wild, which I just like. Sometimes the game is so big, it just overwhelms me and I just can't handle it anymore. Maybe Elden Ring I will get back into just to try to get at least some progress, just to see. I know at some point out there is something that I'm just not going to be willing to do. I'm not going to be able to. I'm not going to be willing to go find whatever item it takes to find us to beat a certain guy. Once I get to that point where I need something, or I need to collect stuff, or I need to get certain armor level up, I'm just going to give up because I'm like I don't have that willpower. But where are you at, Sean? Are you going to see this one through? You're going to.
I don't even know where the end game is for this game because it just throws you out there and like it doesn't really hold your hand. It doesn't show you where to go. It doesn't tell you what's going on. So I don't even I know people are sinking hundreds of hours into this game, and I've seen some of the bosses that are coming up in like 50 hours, and there's going to be a point where I just hit a wall and I'm going to move on. I know for a fact it always happens with these games. I don't have the self motivation.
I think one of our coworkers, a graphics artist, Rob, he said that he posted like a photo or something, a tweet, and it was just like I've like played like more than 500 hours of this game and I haven't even scratched the surface, and I'm like, oh, like do I really want to do that? Especially the perfectionist in me who wants to, or the completionist in me who wants to like complete everything. I'm like, I saw, I think for at least Forbidden West that it takes about approximately 90 something hours to complete the whole game. And I'm like, do I really want to do that? And I'm like, yeah, EJ does want to do that. So we're, I don't know. I will finish this one for sure. I did like the first one.
So you're gonna stick nothing else. You're not gonna play anything else. You're just gonna finish that game.
I gotta finish this one. I will say that I wasn't with the story for a little bit until I'm one of those who like sees my map and I have so many little missions that I gotta do. So I'm like tearing through those first. But at the same time, like I wasn't with the story until a certain point hit because it kind of started getting a little like skewed from the original game. And I was like, I'm not a big sci-fi person, and that's kind of, which is ironic, but I kind of like it started going more that direction. But now that they've filled in blanks, I'm like, okay, maybe I'm still here for this. So really quick, LK80, thanks for the heart. But any final thoughts, guys? Elden Ring, Forbidden West. Sean, Phil, you gonna play Forbidden West?
No, you haven't convinced me. It seems really like an annoying game I want nothing to do with.
The first one I hated the story. I hate the checklist of, it's like an Ubisoft open world. It's just a checklist of things to do. It's not fun to me. It's like a shopping list. I don't care. It's doing the same thing over and over. And I've heard this game's the same way,
but it's gotten great reviews. Like it really is a very well respected
overall, I will say that the more I hate this game, the game decides to put me in a scenario where it's just beautiful. And I was like, okay, I get it, guys. You're pretty. I'll keep playing. It's fine. So that's just me. And then like with Elden Ring, I'll definitely buy it. I'll definitely get it. It's going for punishment for that one, I guess. And this is coming from a person who's never played Dark Souls. I never played Dark Souls. I've seen people play. So that whole like putting yourself, getting in like an open world, figure it out. I hated it for Breath of the Wild. So I'm with you on that one, Phil. I got like the whole collector's edition. I think I took out like 2 of the whatever they are. I can't even remember what they're called. But other than that, I haven't gone back to it. So, yep. Anything else, guys?
I think we'll be. We need to go gather our fuel for next week's Warp Zone. So
yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any, things that you want us to talk about, definitely weigh in. You can email us at news@kick9.com. I know it's news, but hey, what we're talking about is news too, so that still works. So yeah, thank you so much, Tony with the Choppa, LK80, Lynn's Level 8, Blinto Marks, all of you guys. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you back here next week. So bye, guys.
Wow, we have a lot to say about that, man.
Oh, I know.